I didn't like the way the educational system works. It's not
Right,
only about USA, it's about the rest of the world. Completely system of a trade school. So my students actually paid me zero and they actually got the real skills and they had a guaranteed job for a minimum of $100,000 a year. We're talking about 99. I guarantee
right.
$100,000 a year job after school, even though they didn't pay me a dime. We actually were the most profitable school in the history of trade schools.
So, good afternoon, Alex. Thank you ever so much for coming on Beyond Words, the podcast with Chris Scott. So yeah, really interesting to meet you, really interesting character. Love hearing about your Zen Buddhism, which we'll come on to a bit earlier. So would you just like to sort of introduce yourself and tell us a bit about sort of what you do and where you came from?
So that would take like an hour. So I'll try to be very quick. I was born in Ukraine, immigrated or actually refuged from the war, end up in Italy. Then I found my way to US, end up US citizen, built hundreds of businesses because I was always more interested to start businesses than to finish. So I helped a lot of people to start businesses, generate over $10 billion in businesses that I've helped to build from scratch. My ideas for businesses generated probably, I don't even know, dozens of billions of dollars. If you consider the Apple that I've helped them to get out of the bankruptcy, that would go over $1 trillion by this point.
So tell us a bit more about that experience.
It's not much of, I'm not allowed because I'm under NDA. I
Right.
cannot
Okay.
else because I'm not allowed to actually even talk about it, just in general terms.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
I cannot say. So I met Steve Jobs when he was still part of Next. That was the company he was building. He had a Cube 1, then Cube 2, and then the company was Next. In 97, they asked him to come back to the Apple. What most people don't know, what they brought him back to the Apple. Apple was actually in bankruptcy
No, I
court,
didn't.
and we had to pull the magic to make sure it's going out of the bankruptcy. I'm not allowed to go in details.
Yeah.
Then I started my own company, sold that one pretty fast for $250 million. Started my
Wow.
own school. That was pretty successful venture. I revolutionized the way the school operates.
So how did you get into that? What was the mindset for that?
I always like to teach.
Yeah,
And that's even what I did with Steve, because that's why I always saw myself in advising role. I always see how to fix stuff.
yeah,
And the reason I even got to the trade school industry because I love to teach, but then I didn't like the way the educational system works. It's not only
right.
about USA, it's about the rest of the world. So I
Yeah,
revolutionized completely system of a trade school. So my students actually paid me zero and they actually got the real skills and they had a guaranteed job for a minimum of $100,000 a year. We're talking about 99. I guarantee
right.
$100,000 a year job after school, even though they didn't pay me a dime.
Yeah.
And we actually were the most profitable school in the history of trade schools.
Wow.
Even though we guaranteed jobs, delivered the best education, and the students didn't pay a dime.
Yeah, fantastic. And what sort of education were you doing with them?
So I was doing business and I was doing the information technology because that's the industry I was in at the time.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. And then sort of what led you on to your next venture after that?
I had a few businesses. They were struggling because unfortunately I was in information technology industry and a bubble burst in 2001. I had a
Yeah,
lot of money invested in the companies that I was helping to grow. So it's kind of financially screwed me over. It took a lot of money of my that I made by selling my business.
okay.
And I made another big mistake. I thought it's going to be the smartest thing to do is investing in real estate.
Right.
The rest of the money I had left, and then 2008 happened, and the rest is the history.
Yeah, no, for sure. So what do you think gives you your drive to, no matter what happens to you, this amount of failure, what gives you the drive to start new businesses and go and move forward?
So in 2008, since lost actually went to the New York and generated some money for the guy there, like $3 billion for his real estate investments. And I came back and I was still broke because he didn't actually pay me a lot. He just paid me for consulting fees, which was
Right.
actually barely covered my expenses, even though I made him $3 billion. But that's what
Wow.
people don't understand. The thing, the people, when the richest people pay you the least, not the most. And that's always tell it's harder to get $1 out of a billionaire than $1,000 out of a broke person.
Yeah.
So that's the reality of life. People think, oh, if you work with all these rich people, you should be rich. Actually, Most of the rich people I worked with, I just worked for reputation and advertising more than anything else. They didn't make any money with them, including Steve.
Right.
He
Wow.
didn't pay crap actually too. So let's go back to basics. So in 2009, so since all that stuff happened, I had a psychological breakdown. I didn't know what to do. I ended up in Zen monastery.
Wow.
And
Where was
that's
the Zen monastery based?
I was being spiritual my whole life.
Right.
I actually have a tattoo of yin yang on my shoulder since I'm a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
And
always been in martial arts and Buddhism and all that stuff. It will always intrigued me.
what
But people don't
inspired
know
you?
about Steve Jobs either. That's how we got connected. Steve Jobs is a Buddhist.
Right. Okay.
He was an active Buddhist. He actually went to India. He still had, until his last days, the mentor in India.
And so you met Steve through your mentor, did you?
It was just the synergy about our common interest,
Right.
the
Okay.
business and IT and technology at that time and Buddhism. Everything had to pretty much sink in.
Okay. That's an amazing story. And then so what inspired you to be sort of spiritual? Was there anyone sort of growing up that you sort of admired, or did you always have it in you?
I was born this way.
Yeah.
I literally believed I was Jesus Christ when I was a kid,
Yeah.
like a
Oh, no,
creation.
really? Wow. That's an incredible mindset to have. And then sort of when you went to, you said that you had sort of heart problems and you went to the Zen monastery. Did you feel that cured you physically?
I actually haven't had any major medical problems since I left the monastery, which
Wow.
is about 15 years ago. As for the people who don't know, actually, I was born with three valves in my heart, so I had heart problems my whole life. Had a scoliosis, I have the cataract in my right eye. That's just the three things I was born with.
Yeah.
Then all the stuff that happened to me during the life at age of 8, I've burned both of my eyes in a freak accident. I was playing with the fireworks, it blew up in my hands, blew up my face and my eyes. It took like half a year to recover my eyes and fix it. Thank God, actually, my parents were in a position to fix my eyesight. Then at 14, I ended up with a pneumonia that turned into tuberculosis. And then my first stroke at 26, then second at 32. Then I had my back went off because I had scoliosis problems my whole life. So at the age of 40, my back just pretty much gave up. And then I
Wow.
kind of finally recovered and I had a heart attack. So I had a lot of health issues through my whole life, but I actually haven't had any since I left the monastery. I just did 50 push-ups today, and I'm
Wow.
in my mid 50s, so it's probably more than average 50-year-old can do.
That's about 30 more than me. And so how long were you in the monastery?
For about a half a year.
Okay. And
It
sort
was a
of can you
silent monastery too.
okay, so can you go into a bit more detail about sort of your day-to-day activities in the monastery?
It's very mundane. There's not much of activities in monastery. You wake up, you meditate, you go do whatever your chore for the day is, whether it's a cleaning, painting, cooking. Then you meditate again. Then you go for the rest of it. Then you go eat. Then you go for the rest of the activity. So you eat twice a day. So you eat in the morning and closer to the evening, and the rest of the time you just meditate and work. There's literally nothing going
Yeah.
on.
And what inspired you? Was there any points where when you were in the monastery that you felt that you wanted to sort of give up or you didn't feel that it was working, or did you have any challenges?
Challenges the first 3 days because I felt like these people are crazy and what the hell am I doing here? But after 3 days, I kind of felt like I'm falling into the bliss. And a few months later, I understood this is just not me. I have more to offer than just doing this.
And that sort of leads me on to nicely, sort of like how did you acclimatize when you got out? Was it difficult?
Actually amazing to me because I felt very good. I didn't have to speak anymore. So because I just came out, I didn't speak for 6 months. So it actually
Really?
gave me a lot of energy
Yeah.
because naturally I speak too much. That's always been my problem. But since I came out of the silent monastery, it's kind of balanced me a lot more. So actually people would take me more seriously because I spoke less.
Yeah, silence is very sort of powerful, especially in sales. You know, I've worked in sales and marketing 15 years, and so. But did you? I was sort of reading your notes. Were you a Christian beforehand, and then sort of went to Buddhism? Sort of, what was the path there?
Actually, I was born Jewish. Both of my parents are Jews.
Okay,
So actually, I was Jewish, but I would study different religions, and Buddhism is not actually a religion, it's just way of life.
it's a thought process. Yeah,
Yeah, there's no churches, there's no hierarchy. So it's literally like a lifestyle. That's why I like the Zen. That's why I use the word Zen.
yeah.
So Buddhism kind of was evolved from Taoism.
Yeah.
Taoism is about 2,500 years old before Buddhism. So it's kind of evolved into different, like Soho, the part of Buddhism that I was. So there's a lot of different ways people preaching Buddhism. Different countries like Vietnam have their own, India their own, Japan have like three, four different systems. So
Okay.
everybody kind of try to fit in whatever they fit in. So Christianity was kind of like a second wave for me as the Judaism. As I started studying Judaism, I realized that Christianity is just the next step, the next book of a Bible, right? If you look at a Bible, it's out of two books. The first
Yeah.
one is actually Torah, which is Judaism, and the second one is actually Christianity. So it was like common transition to me.
You talked about starting your own church. Sort of talk a bit more about that.
Okay, so that was an interesting experience too. So when I wanted to start my own church, I became like an ordained minister. So I wanted to start my own church and I love to start businesses, but I didn't realize the whole idea of the church is 99% of business, it's only 1% of the spirituality. And that's kind of what killed it for me. And I thought, okay, I don't, after like a year dealing with it, I just realized this is not something what I was wanted to do. I wanted to help people, not to figure out how to make money because I can do that outside of church.
And where did you do that? Base that was that in the US?
That was in Los Angeles, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Would you say that your biggest accomplishment's been throughout your life?
Learn how to be a human being.
I think it's on a daily basis, isn't it? And when did you get to that realization?
After I started studying Greek philosophy, know thyself, I
And
understand that everybody have their own biases and people just people and stop judging people and understanding who I am and what important for me.
and you think the judging people, that was a sort of a common trait throughout your life, was it?
Everybody judge everybody. I
Yeah.
don't judge anybody. I just accept them for who they are. If I don't like them, I just block them out of my life.
And move on. Yeah, very wise. And so that's fantastic. And then you've sort of explained about your Zen journey, your and how did you get into NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and hypnotherapy?
Yeah, so that was in my early 20s actually, because I was always fascinated with the human mind. So I was learning since I was 13 years old the philosophies, how the mind works, the NLP, the hypnotherapy. I actually got certified at the age of 23 for NLP and hypnotherapy. I was studying the brain plasticity. I was trying to figure out why people do what they do, why they kill each other, why they love each other, why they steal from each other. I just was a very curious person, so I wanted to understand why people are the way they are.
And did you ever find out?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you share with us?
I don't think we have enough time for that. That's a pretty deep conversation. That's everything is decided by the energy. So everything either gives you energy or take your energy. So if you go and look at a basic concept, some people conditioning is really bad, so it gives them energy to hurt others. So they operate based on their conditioning.
And do you think it is conditioning, or are they born with that energy?
I don't think you're born with it. You just become the product of your environment.
That's really interesting. And do you think with the neuroplasticity that there is ways to change that? Can you be conditioned out of that energy?
100%. That's why I created the Zen business community.
Yeah, no, fantastic.
And
That's
that's
why I want to
exactly
know.
what it is, because the only way to change it is by changing your environment.
Okay, so tell me a
Because
bit
you are
more.
a product of your environment. All you have to do is
Yeah,
change the environment.
yeah, and the people that you're surrounded with, And so tell me a bit more because I'm really intrigued about this business that you've started, and you
So,
say how long has it been running for?
so we just started last month
Okay,
and it's picking up. I mean, but that's what I do is building stuff.
yeah,
So we have like more interviews right now with the people who's interested we can actually take on. So that's where we're literally screening people for interviews. That's how busy we are at this point. There's nothing out there that educates people how to do that. The most important thing that I explain people is money. That's the main energy. I literally help people to make money first. Everything else is like supplement. So I would help them how to make money, love and health, which is love is more like relationship. It's not necessarily if they're looking for the love. And health, that's pretty common sense what it is. This is everything is a part of the same energy. What they selling is actually irrelevant because I can teach anybody to sell anything. I don't care if the world thinks it's useless or worthless and they cannot make money with it. That's absolutely makes no difference in the real world. If you understand economy, all it is about exchanging money. As long as the people pay you for what you're offering them, if they feel better about it, that's what the important part. What people think is regardless, even what you think is regardless. Even if you think what is valuable, let's say you're selling this rock, for example, or metaphor. This is like a piece of rock. And if I'm gonna go to a cancer patient and tell them if you put this rock under your pillow, it will prolong your life for another month. It might be 100% scam, but if it prolongs the life of that person due to a placebo effect, this rock in that business is priceless.
Of course. And do you think that that is just the mindset of them thinking that that rock is going to prolong their life, but actually there's chemical reactions going on in the brain that are doing that?
Exactly, it's all energy. Because 99% of the stuff we have in our houses is garbage anyways. It's all crap. We don't need anything we buy. So
Yeah.
what makes one thing better than the other? It's literally the energy. If the people feel good about giving you money, that's what important.
Damn right. And can anyone be open to this, or are some people just got no hope?
But with screen, obviously, it's supposed to be a state of mind. You have to be a spiritual person. If you're not a spiritual person, if you believe in a world of physical activities, right, you have to exchange some things. If I have to give you $1, you have to give me food to feed me, which is still an energy. The food is the calories that provide the energy. But people don't understand that deep into it. In a spiritual world, I can give you this rock, and that rock can make you $1 billion. What is the value of this rock?
That's incredible. Yeah. And just entrepreneurs that you're helping at the moment.
That's my experience. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, so I'm trying to talk to people that I can relate to and know what they're going through.
Fantastic. And so where does this sort of deep drive come from within you, and what makes you want to sort of help others? Where does that come from?
I was born this way.
Just an innate energy within you. That's
Yeah.
incredible. So tell us a bit more about the business and what you want to achieve with it, and how we can get in contact with you.
So it's a movement. It's more than just a community. So we're gonna have a weekly calls, and people actually gonna have a sponsor within the group who's gonna be responsible for their success, and they're gonna be responsible for that person's success, based on the teachings provided and direction provided. It's almost impossible to fail. I mean, I've helped thousands of people. The business model of money exchange is so simple. People are always just willing to spend money on something that makes them feel good.
Damn right. And you say that there's no other course or program movement like this in the world.
I don't think so. If there is, I would love to learn about it so I can maybe learn something from them. Because it's
Yeah,
based on my life experience and 50 plus years of my life that I've gathered and organized in a way that worked for everybody I worked with.
fantastic. And what would you say throughout your life experience that there's the one standout moment that you've had?
Is when I end up in Italy. So when I end up in Italy, I was homeless, got beat up by street gangs. Every day I didn't have a place to stay or live. And within, let's say 2 months probably, since I got there, I had a 30 employee business. And I still didn't have any legal paperwork or had any, I didn't even speak Italian, still didn't speak any Italian.
That's incredible. Was it window cleaning business?
Yeah, it was a window cleaning business, but that's what taught me what life is all about. Because what happened, I was only a 17 years old kid, and I was washing a window, and I had a guy who was in the same position as me, who was an immigrant as well. Like he asked me, "How do you make money?" Because I saw you were struggling. How you make money now? So I just go wash the window, then I go in the store and ask people for money. And some people give me money, some people give me apple. I remember some woman just gave me apple. Some people chase me with a stick. And eventually I know which stores to go into, which not.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty much my business. But the guy said, I'm not gonna go on back for money. I'm saying, okay, you don't have to. That's how I make money.
Yeah.
So he made me a proposition. He goes, what about if I wash windows and you ask for money? I say, okay, I don't care. I'm asking for money anyways. Might as well two people safer. So less chances of getting beat up, and the time will go easier. And the next day he actually came in with his friend. He goes, can he come with us? Because he needs money too. Say, okay. And obviously within a month there's 30 people add up.
Wow. That's
But
incredible.
what I learned from it, the most important two things that changed my whole life from that point on. Number one, people will pay for something they're not willing to do. And
Yeah.
number two, that's most important is I was not trying to build a business. I was trying to help people. I was trying to help them to make money.
Fantastic.
And that's what the ZBC is going to be all about, helping people to make money and understand how easy it is.
Fantastic. So we're coming to the end sort of now, Alex, and you've shared some incredible stories. And so just let the viewers know how to get hold of you, where we can find you. I'll obviously share the links and everything in the captions.
They can find all the information about me on LinkedIn. I do have the blog, but the LinkedIn is probably a good one. I will reply to anybody at least once because I just don't have enough time to talk to everybody, and its community is growing very fast. Actually, since I talked to you, there's 1,000 people
Wow.
grew to the LinkedIn alone, and they keep asking me and talking to me. But the person who's going to be actually in charge of screening and talking to make sure that the right people and we're a good fit, we can actually help them. It's going to be Jason. So we'll provide you with the calendar
Yeah.
that people can talk to and see if we're the right fit. So the entrance to the community, the fee, we're trying to make it as least as possible. And for people who want, there's actually even an option to work with me directly. That's obviously a little bit more expensive. But what we're offering, unfortunately, that's only for US residents. We're also offering actually 0% financing for people to start their own businesses to get
Right.
the ball rolling.
Okay, that's fantastic. So yeah, no, wrapping up, Alex, I really appreciate your time today. I'd love to get you on in 6 months, maybe a year again, and see how the journey's going.
Okay. I'm not sure we actually were recording. Was it? Okay.
Yeah, no, we are recording. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll stop recording now.
Okay.